9:48 a.m. and we are now joined by Redge Nkosi. He is Executive Director and Head of Research for Money, Banking and Macroeconomics at Firstsource Money. And for a change, a bit of good news, I hope it is. Boost for South African economy. And of course, that is because South Africa is removed from the global grey list. And we are also told that investor confidence is now rising. A very good morning to you, Redge Nkosi. Welcome to the program. Are you very encouraged by us being removed from the grey list? And does that mean that things are truly going to change for the better for us here in South Africa?
Well, first, thanks for having me. Yeah, well, yes, I think, well, I giggle because, yeah, we've been having very dark stories for quite a while as a country, isn't it? So,
Absolutely.
so any positive news of the nature that we see today should certainly be welcome. And it is time now for those who have been a bit skeptical about our capacity to execute matters related to the movement of money, illicit financial flows, and terrorism financing, come to understand that we were indeed one of those countries. Unfortunately, we had fallen off as a consequence of one or two incidences that happened a while back. So indeed, it should be a welcome news. However, the way I look at it is that there's a great deal of sentiment, a positive sentiment to it, than reality, in the sense that if you look at the bond market, currency markets, and so on, they were highly muted. In other words, they didn't see this with any deal of respect as they would see other such positive news. So what we make of it is anybody's guess. But nonetheless, there's a great deal of confidence. There's a great deal of elation in many places that South Africa is finally off this grey list of the FATF.
Does that also mean perhaps that we might start seeing foreign investment interest in our country being off the grey list? What does it mean, being removed from the grey list? What sort of confidence does it give to foreign investors? And to us as South Africans, what does that mean?
Yeah. Firstly, there's no doubt that those who had a bit of hesitation, if you want, about throwing their money into the economy will now perhaps breathe a sigh of relief, knowing very well that we off that list. And there is no doubt that some people will begin to throw their money into South Africa easily. This is not to say they wouldn't earlier on, they would, but with a great deal of hesitation. Now that we're off, that the hesitation is completely removed, and therefore the ability for some foreign investors to walk into the country with confidence is heightened, and that means some contribution to the economy. Even if studies do show, however, that not much would come out of this, there's no doubt that that confidence is there now, and quite frankly, quite a number of people will be viewing South Africa positively and be able to invest in the country. But most importantly, the cost of transacting as a consequence of us being on the grey list was always high, was to be high, got high, and therefore that cost will dramatically fall. And that obviously means good news for all those persons involved in international movements of money and trade.
You talk about the cost. Would ordinary South Africans like you and I feel that impact? Have we felt that impact? Or was it really the money launderers and perhaps money's funding terrorist organizations wherever, around the world?
I think this is an important question. Quite frankly, a person like you and me, who are ordinary citizens, may not necessarily see this as costly and so on. But nonetheless, there are some delays that do take place as a consequence of a country having been removed, having been thrown onto the grey list. which delays fall off. But ordinarily, you and me may not necessarily say it. But again, we're talking more on a macro perspective to the extent that when we put some people together in aggregate, those costs will certainly fall and therefore be positive news for citizens as a whole. But again, like I said, studies do show that the impact of being removed from the grey list on the economy can be pretty muted indeed.
Let's leave it there. It is good news. Nice to start a Monday morning by talking
Absolutely.
about these type of issues. And um, I did ask, whether it would have an impact on you and I, and you've kind of indicated probably very marginally. But
Yeah,
even marginally is good enough for us. And it also then will encourage foreign trade, which is so sorely needed. Because it would create jobs. That's the big thing with us, is it not? Job
absolutely.
creation, because we're sitting with a high unemployment rate, and then a spin-off from that should be education for all.
No doubt. I think any act that would mean positive news for South Africa should, quite frankly, be welcome. And this one is just one that act, indeed.
Redge Nkosi, Executive Director at Firstsource Money, thank you indeed for explaining that to us. And you go well. Thank you for your time. God bless.
God bless. Thanks very much indeed.
It is exactly 9:55. This is News and Views wrapping up, but not without listening to a motivational saying from Hafiz Imran Chunara. But let me also remind you of a very important date, and that is between the 14th and the 24th of November of this year, a project of Salam Media's Global Voices campaign, Bring Afia Home. Afia is a victim of the US war on terror, kidnapped, tortured, wrongly convicted, and serving an unjust 86-year sentence. An exclusive update on Afia Siddiqui's case will be brought to us firsthand by her sister, Dr. Fauzia Siddiqui. And this is going to be live in South Africa. For more details, please do contact us here at Salam Media on 011 680 0355 or 081 569 9770. Let's now cross over to Hafiz Imran Chunara for the Fired Up series for this Monday morning.